fun and interactive.
Indeed. So taking a look at this, we do have the first ban coming out from Vigil. They are going to be taking out Temple of Anubis. No surprise there, Temple of Anubis. I think the biggest surprise would be not if Temple of Anubis gets played, but maybe if there's a little bit of drama, it gets down to almost the last pick. But teams are so quick at banning it, I'm not sure we'll even see that.
Yeah, whatever actually, or teamWE. I'm sticking with whatever. It's too late to change. Team whatever actually bans out Numbani, and Vigil bans out Hanamura, not wanting to take any chances with control points. Team whatever decides to finish off that entire category maps and bans out Volskaya. Li Zhang is then the response, banned by Vigil. So it looks like they're both angling to get towards payload, except whatever doesn't want to play Numbani for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, well, right now it looks like Team Whatever might be angling towards a specific payload map that they like. They haven't taken out Nepal yet either, so maybe they're okay with Nepal. But I gotta think that Vigil, based on their ban history that we've seen thus far, will be taking out Nepal when they get the chance. But I don't know, it's hard to say. It's still there, and there's 3 bans left, so you never know.
Yeah, Gibraltar's gone, which I think is a smart ban from Vigil. Obviously, they probably have respect for Team Whatever and whoever's, even whatever makes up that composition of the roster right now. But those are pro players with a ton of experience on Gibraltar, and Gibraltar is a tough map. If your momentum ever gets stopped, you have to kind of consistently push through Gibraltar to have a good time on it. So they don't want to play against Team Whatever on that map. Whatever then bans out Hollywood, so we're either going to Kings Row or Nepal.
I would love to see some Nepal as a bit of a change-up. I do think, given Vigil's history, we'll probably see Kings Row, but I would love to be surprised and see a Nepal game early in this tournament.
Yeah, I love Nepal. I've made no secret about it, but I'm always fine with Kings Row, and luckily that I'm fine with Kings Row, we're going to go there.
Yep, Kings Row. Saw a lot of Kings Row yesterday to some extent, but really, I do think the payload maps are seeing a little bit more variety as time goes on. As we were just talking about before, we are seeing a little bit more Dorado. We're seeing a lot more Numbani. I think Numbani has sort of been the map that in the last week and a half have seen the most of in terms of a payload map going from not being played to suddenly, every other game, here's Numbani.
Yeah, and it's interesting how teams adjust to that. Numbani is kind of the new Kings Row, in my opinion, just based on, we see the map and the meta and everything change week to week, but Numbani is definitely taking the place as, if all else is equal, I imagine these teams are going to try to go to Numbani. Part of that is because Envious is really good at Numbani. They play it often when they play, and some of the top teams have taken to scrimming on Numbani, knowing that when we want to win tournaments, we're probably going to have to beat Envious through it, so we better get good at Numbani, and I think that's been the ripple effect we see throughout the scene.
Yeah, that could be a very big reason. Or teams could just be scrimming some of the different payload maps a little bit more and just feeling better about it as time goes on.
Yep, so we're ready to get in a game. Another very courteous chat from the teams. Are we ready? Thank you, guys. Yes, we are. And we're going to head to Kings Row, where if you didn't watch yesterday or any of the previous days with all the previous tournaments, Team Whatever, which is mostly an all-star team of Melty and G2, is going to be playing Team Vigil. One of the emerging North American teams who've been playing tournaments lately, recently, doing pretty well, trying to get some little more experience, and they just beat Team No Demise. We're now in the round of 8 of the GosuGamers NA Weekly.
Yep, and I have good news, Hex. Looking at the ping, we are not on an Australian server, so
Beautiful.
I'm not sure if we got lucky or the Blizz gods merely smile upon us, but we are going to be playing a North American tournament on North American servers, so
yep.
A little bit of progress there.
No reason to figure out why it works. It's just be happy it works. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Which I'm not sure why that expression exists, but it does exist.
I think it's that you would look into the horse's mouth to see if he had dental problems and be sort of showing whether or not the horse is healthy. But if they're giving you the horse for free, going out of your way to say, well, is this a good horse or not, is a little bit rude.
So it's kind of just a different rural version of beggars can't be choosers. Something like that.
Kinda,
similar,
sorta.
yeah.
But looking at the defense coming out from whatever here, almost said G2 because Numlocked. We got Numlocked on Reinhardt, D-Gun on the Zarya, Pippo on the McCree, Muno on Mercy, Nico on Reaper, and Nox on Symmetra. And one thing I like here, even coming out of Team Whatever, we're seeing more Mercy play.
Yeah, you mentioned that it might be the NA meta with the Mercy, and actually being played by some of the top European mix-up teams right now. On offense, Sneaky finally snuck into the game. He's going to be playing Lucio casual. Jody will be on Winston, Ultimate Weapon. Genji legit on Zenyatta. Firestorm's going to play Reaper, and KFR is going to be playing Winston. So double Winston early on here.
Double Winston with the Genyatta combo. We'll see how that works, but Pippo could have something to say about Ultimate Weap's Genji. We've seen many of the EU McCrees be very much on point, and that McCree play can really do a lot of harm to your average Genji player.
Yeah, they come in around the back through the room and get a lot of kills immediately. I like what they're doing with both Winstons. They're staggering the bubbles instead of kind of blowing it all at one time. That way one bubble's down and everyone's helped. Now the second bubble comes down. The other one's going to be on cooldown shortly. It is a really interesting tactic rather than an overall commitment to that aggression. They stagger their offensive initiation, and it worked out really well for them. That's a very quick cap.
Well, that was a case where they simply just did not deal with the Winston leaping in well at all. There was no ultimates, no flash, just Winston sleeping in and good execution coming out from Vigil. So Vigil looking strong to start things out here up against Team Whatever.
Yeah, they have to be feeling good about that. I mean, their team coordination, their strategy just worked to perfection. That's a first push take of Kings for a 1, and you don't see that happen all that often.
No, it's not that frequent at all. That being said, Numlock does have Earth Shatter up. We've seen really good Reinhardt play out of Numlocked in the past, sort of one of the many Reinhardts who's leveled up his play in recent memory. So curious to see what he does here. We do have an offensive sound barrier coming out from Vigil. Vigil again try and push in with this. Jody leaping in and taking out the Zenyatta very quickly, so that's a big pick. That's 4 people down from the defending side already, so both teams really trading out a bunch of kills here.
Yeah.
We did get a res by Moonell before he died, but I think this is still very much in favor of Vigil.
Well, it does actually equalize the trades a little bit, bringing that resurrection up, and they were able to kind of stem the bleeding there, because if that res doesn't come off, then it's probably 5v3, 5v2. Mercy paid her life for it, but definitely worth the resurrection there.
You know, the other thing that Mercy is, I almost wonder if we're going to see a meta develop where teams sort of let their teams get wiped by a bunch of ults and use Resurrect, basically trading one ult for many, and then trying to reestablish a fight after that, because I think that could be pretty effective, and we've sort of seen that, whether planned or not, a lot of times with Mercy in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the fights between top-end teams have really come down to coordinated ultimates, and if you can bait out ultimates, then it's going to be a huge advantage.
Oh, hang on, we got a big Rotom Surge coming down here. Ultimate Whip, though, in the back, and we see Nico deciding to help deal with that rather than going in for the Death Blossom, so not quite the Wombo combo that was expected. Firestorm picking off 2 of the defenders, and Vigil doing very well to push through here. They're making great time right now.
Yeah, the Graviton Surge just went in, but they dropped a shield immediately, so all the players were protected inside the Winston Fishbowl, and it got almost nothing done.
Yeah, so take a look here. Numlock does have Earth Shatter back up. Curious to see if he's going to land something good here. But Vigil, I feel like they're just looking much stronger this game than they even looked in the last round. I'm pretty surprised at how quickly they've taken Team Whatever the task.
Yeah, they look extremely strong. This is a very quick time on the payload.
Got a 2-person Earth Shatter followed by Numlock just smashing Firestorm against the wall. Nico with the 2 quick picks, and Whatever now reestablishing a little bit on defense. Mercy Res coming down, and they're going to be pushing Vigil back, at least for now.
Yeah, it's a pretty greedy Mercy Res, but this is a greedy chase overall. Dagon and Nico double Reapering take them all the way back to their own spawn point, and that's a complete reset from Team Vigil. We're going to have to see if they come out with a different strategy here, and they do. They add a Zarya.
I'm not even sure if it's possible to have a greedy Mercy Res, just given how quick her ult charges now.
Yeah, I know the cooldown is so quick that using it in the ways that you're talking about to bait out ultimates and to just use it whenever is actually a smart idea.
Very much so. So, taking a look at this, we do have Zenyatta with the Transcendence up, and you got to think LeJRC is going to use this. They're going to push in with
Reapers
the
above
speed
and
boost and go
behind.
from there.
Nico and Dagon are both behind on Reaper.
Oh. The charge comes out on the Zenyatta, but Transcendence really saving them. And taking a look at this, there's 3 quick picks now for Vigil, and really everyone just getting saved by the Transcendence. Now 4, and just great coordination with Vigil. They use Transcendence to the very maximum of its abilities there.
Yeah, legit is almost clairvoyant. I don't know how he saw those 2 Reapers coming in, but he hit it just as they were hitting the ground, and he negated completely 2 of the biggest damage dealers in the game doing anything, and then they cleaned him up with a full wipe. Now they're in really good position to push this to last.
Take a look at this, by the way. Firestorm does have a Death Blossom. He drops down, gets a pick on D-Gun, drops the Death Blossom. A lot of it's going to get mitigated by the Transcendence, so he's going to go down. 1 for 1 there in general, but Vigil, not to be deterred, still going in. Nico, though, doing quite a bit of work and trying to hold for Whatever.
Yeah, they're selling out and try to get to the cart now. They might have been better served backing up, but at this point, even dying up front is fine. They're going to have to reset anyway. They lost a couple players a little too early on and continue to bleed players now.
Yeah, that was actually looking really good for Vigil to start things out. They had more ults, they were in good position, but really just solid fundamentals from Whatever, able to push them back. And Vigil now going to have to sort of regroup and hope for the best as they come in. But looking at the defensive ult situation now, we got Muno with Soundbearer, Nico with Death Blossom, and Nox reasonably close to a Transcendence, so I'm not sure this next offensive push is going to go quite the way that Vigil wants it to.
No, I think they'd be better served trying to combo it with Zarya's ult, trying to charge up someone else's ultimate and maybe use that as a push, but you don't want to push one ultimate into 4. The support Transcendence ultimate comes up for Legit, who's been playing really well, but they're going to need an offensive ultimate of some point to combo with his Zarya.
Yeah, meanwhile, aggressive defense going in. Numlock dropping the Primal Rage. We do see a Death Blossom coming down the back, but it's almost entirely mitigated by the Transcendence. Good stuff coming up from that. Graviton Surge coming out. Not quite doing maybe as much as they want. They do have double Zaryas, so it's not 1 Tolestein, it's 2. And
that helps.
All that combined, it's going to lead to 4 kills for Vigil. So Vigil was able to use the two Zarya ults to a very good effect.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, it was really good
now,
zoning. The second one, though, I would have loved to see them save for right here. They could have completely shut down single spawn door.
They might need it, though. They already pick up 3 kills as people are streaming in, and now it's do or die for whatever as they desperately try and hold things off. Take a look at this. We still see the Zaryas on top of the point.
Great
Defensive Transcendence is going to come down, and this is just really, it's on the card, it's healing people, it's stalling.
Here come the Divas. Double Diva.
The Double Diva. We haven't really seen too much of that in recent memory.
This is the first I've seen in the last 3 weeks.
I tell you less. I think it's in part the Divas sort of just get wrecked nowadays. I'm not really sure what's happened, but teams have gotten much better at dealing with Divas. The first wave Divas are dead, and we do see just again stalling for time. And even if they do eventually lose us here, the streaming in buys them valuable time for their own attack run.
The change to Diva, I think, was when her mech dies, it disappears off the battlefield quicker, so it's kind of less clutter, less carnage. You can focus on the actual body of Diva quicker, so it doesn't have that kind of that cooldown and staggering effect, which is why we haven't seen her as much lately. I'm not surprised. This is legit. He had a fantastic game.
Yeah, Legit had some very, very important Transcendences, and this, I think, was just towards the end where we had the double Zarya ults coming out. So the first one got 2 kills, and then people are trying to get away. Second one goes down. I don't know if it was really needed, as you were saying, but regardless, things worked out for Vigil. They set a time of 6:38 while attacking. That's definitely a King's Row time that's a little bit on the quicker end, Hex.
Yeah, I mean, under 7 minutes I usually consider a pretty good time, and it's because that first attack worked out so well. Then, for the most part, they only got stymied once or twice, and then switching into the double Zaryas was really smart. They didn't need the utility of the Resurrection anymore. They brought in double tank, and then, you know, the Zenyatta played really well. Legit's been playing really well. I can't believe that they didn't die to 2 Reapers above that seemingly no one spotted. So if that Transcendence was an accident that he was going to hit anyway, brilliant. It looks great. I'm going to give him all the credit in the world, though, for spotting that out and saving his team in the midst of 2 Reapers coming from behind. That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, take a look at this now. The time to beat for whatever, going to be 6:38. It is a time that I think will be a little bit difficult for them to beat, but not impossible. Impossible to beat time would be anything that's, you know, really sub 5 minutes. Then it sort of gets to a point where, wow, you outplayed them to the point that you set this quick of a time. How in the world are they going to suddenly turn the tables and outplay you to do a quicker time? Which is why I think times under 5 minutes are very rarely beaten. I think it has happened occasionally, but it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, it's the psychological element, and also knowing that you have to go that fast, you're forced to play aggressive, and you end up making mistakes, and the defensive teams knows you have to play fast so they can play kind of conservatively and take advantage of your mistakes too. But, you know, the late 6 minutes is a good time, but beatable, definitely beatable, and we know that Team whatever, teamWE, teamWE, whatever they choose to be called, has the skills and the players to do it. It's just going to be a matter of if they can work together well enough to coordinate ultimates in the way that actually, you know, our offense did in the first round.
So a little bit of teaser. I thought we were going to see some Torbjorn coming out from Vigil, but we are not so lucky. Instead, we have Ultimate Weapon on the Genji, Firestorm on the 76, Legit RC on the Zenyatta yet again, Sneaky on the Lucio. We might be seeing a Defensive Widow, though, with Jody. It's hard to say, though. She's still in spawn. I'm not counting on anything just yet. And nope, gonna be Winston's. KFR and Casual Jody on Winston. So no Defensive Widow this day, Hex.
Yeah, but it's cool that they're running a 76 at least. And if you look on the other side of the rosters, if they stick, you get to see your girl Tracer.
That is cool. And I think Nico actually will stand it. So we'll get to see some Tracer play today. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better than Tracer play we saw yesterday, where Tracer just sort of died over and over again.
Yeah, Tracer and McCree going to be the damage dealers for Team Whatever. Then they're running a single support in Lucio, 2 tanks, and then a Reaper as well. So single support, double tank, 3 DPS.
Yeah, interesting stuff coming out. So taking a look at Nico here. Nico, sort of tentatively going forward. The key with Tracers, you want to get in the back line when people are distracted. You don't want an entire team to focus on you. And D-Gun with a very quick pick on the Ultimate Wep. 2 quick kills for whatever, and this is looking good. Yeah. And look at Nico, he has a Zenyatta in his sights, but 76 coming to help out, and down goes Tracer, so A little bit disappointing. And I think one thing we've seen a lot of the Tracers of Comp, Tracers have not been really going all in on the Zenyatas or otherwise. They go in, they go from mid-range on a clip, and they don't kill them in one clip. And I feel like for it to be effective in Comp, you gotta one clip it. But even with that happy with Tracer, they're able to take the point very decisively. Good picks coming out in general from D-Gun and others, and really a very solid start coming out from whatever.
It's one of the reasons we see Symmetra run so strongly on this map is so that teams can't do what whatever just did there, and they run through the room completely unquestioned. Then they're in a pretty good position in that corner to be able to fight onto the point from a good angle, and if Symmetra is in there and she's got turrets, it completely negates that option for the team.
Yeah, definitely. And look at this, whatever, charging it again. Numlocked with 2 quick kills. D-Gun gang in the back with a kill of his own. And that's, again, 4 people down for Vigil. And Vigil, for as strong as they looked on offense, they are getting melted on the defensive end right now.
Yeah, they are getting taken apart here. They're going to put 3x on the cart to try to get it going as fast as possible. Everyone else is going to be allowed to roam. D-Gun actually cleans up ultimate weapon there, so a pretty clear path to the end.
Look at the ult situation, too. They've done so on these first 2 fights that really... Vigil has not been able to build their ultimates the way they want to, and 3 offensive ultimates already, including Death Blossom. Look at D-Gun, Hex, he is setting them up right now.
Yeah, it's, you know, the Earth Shatter with any one of these offensive ults can absolutely devastate a team, and I'm just kind of curious when they're going to bring it in. No defensive ults still up right now.
The only thing about this is with the double Winston, he might get blocked out here. It's a little bit questionable. He's saying here, looking at the... Look the other way, please, I beg of you. Sorry, oh. All right, stylish. Earth Shadow does come down. I gotta think that the Death Blossom's gonna be going any second now. He didn't want to pop it right there because of the sound barrier, though. And instead, KFR with Ultimate Wep going to be combining to really wipe out a good part of the attacking team here. So that was not really what they were looking for. Sound barrier does come down for whatever, but it's a little too late. They're gonna have to back up and regroup, and I think that was a little bit of a waste, Hex.
Yeah, the defensive sound barrier really bought them some time, not only to stay alive in that fight and kind of delaying the Death Blossoms, both of which are still up and did not get popped, but then it bought them time to get their other ultimates up too. We saw Primal Rage there at the end kind of clear out the cart and get everyone away from it, and prolonging that fight really kept them in it and allowed them to stop this cart.
So for the defense, we do have a Transcendence up, which really can help against the Death Blossoms. But on offense, we have not 1, but 2 Death Blossoms between D-Gun and Nico. So Transcendence is going to have to be very much on point for Legit RC here if he wants to keep his team alive. But he gets stunned. He's not able to do it at time. D-Gun takes out 2 people, takes out a third non-casual Jody, and Zenyatta himself getting charged and taken out by Numlocked. So
pretty much
just like that.
That is the power of speed boosting into Death Blossom. I got in there so quickly that the Transcendence came off late. They just didn't see it until it was absolutely too late, and 2 were already dead.
And not only that, that was from D-Gun. Nico still has his ultimate, so he can drop down and go for a Death Blossom here, and there's no defensive ultimate to mitigate it. Sneaky, pretty close to getting a sound barrier, but he does not have it yet. And take a look, Nico with a big pick on Ultimate Weapon. Now it's 6v5. If they move quickly, they can end this game right now.
Yeah, Ultimo was posting up top to try to prevent exactly what just happened to him, but he got teleported on and taken out immediately. People with the kill, but Firestorm takes Nico out as well, so it's 5-5.
Yep, nice charge, and Earthshatter coming out from Numlock. Numlock swinging the hammer, getting good value. 1 kill thus far. D-Gun helping clean things up, and just like that, they beat the time set by Vigil, and whatever's going to go up 1-0. In the round of 8.
Yeah, very good performance there by whatever. Only slowed down once or twice. And I can't stress enough that the reason they were able to take that first point so fast is they just ran through the side, which is usually prevented by some sort of defensive character, a Symmetra, a Junkrat, anything. You can't just allow an entire team to reposition like that on you when you're not expecting it. That's some hammer time on the cart. Gets play of the game.
Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. So, I mean, the interesting thing to me there was that, generally speaking, teams have been defined by their defense, and I thought things were looking really good for Vigil with the time they set. They set a good offensive time, and whatever's defense didn't look all that great, so I thought, okay, with how this is going, maybe Vigil is going to take map 1 pretty decisively and sort of surprise us, because I had whatever pegged as the favorites going in here, but whatever really turned it on for the second side and was able to turn that around in a way that I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah, maybe a little lackadaisical effort there on defense, and then maybe they just kind of wanted to play super aggressive on offense, which they did. They were able to speed burst in, but even along with that aggression, they were very patient. Both those Reapers had opportunities to come in and drop Death Blossoms, but knowing that the time wasn't right, the sound barrier went off, both of them got out and saved their ultimates. They didn't use them just to use them. They didn't queue just to queue. And then later on, they speed bursted in, were able to get off both Death Blossoms before the Transcendence wiped up, and that was really what cleared the path for their final push.
Yeah, absolutely. So, interesting stuff coming out there. But Vigil, I think, did well enough in the first half of the map where I feel like Vigil can turn this
Oh,
around
definitely.
and bring this to
Yeah,
3
they did
maps.
not look outclassed at all. They just lost a map. But there's times in
Yep.
games and early rounds of tournaments where you see you're like, well, they didn't belong in the same game with that other team. Vigil definitely belonged on the same battlefield with whatever there.
No, absolutely. So right now we're waiting for the draft for second map. Again, we're just talking about this in the last set, but based on feedback, we've tried to reduce the amount of times we go for breaks. We'll break in between rounds because that's just sort of, okay, what teams are playing, where do we go, and all the rest. But in between games, we're just going to stay with you, wait for the draft, talk about what we're seeing, what the meta is, sometimes what we're seeing in other parts of the bracket. In fact, what is going on the other side of the bracket, Hex?
Is an excellent question. I will head over there now. While I'm at GosuGamers.net, I'm actually going to leave some feedback based on our map banning process and how we're just kind of running the production side of things overall. Because I'm just at GosuGamers.net/Overwatch. There's polls, there's forums, there's all sorts of ways to communicate with people to let them know what we like, what we don't like, about maps, about the map drafting tool, etc. So while I'm here checking out the bracket, I'm going to be doing that stuff. Meanwhile, GoogleMe did 2-0 hype. They are moving on to the semifinals. They're in that bracket, awaiting the winner of this set between Team Whatever and Vigil. IDD versus QD, or IDD QD versus Triton has no results yet. Neither does Mendo and not Renbot. Either one of those teams should be really interesting to watch. Mendo is a kind of a mix-up of reunited guys. Renbot, of course, is a mix-up of several other people as well. They both 2-0'd in their first round sets. Triton 2-0'd as well in their first round set. They're the team playing IDD QD. I don't know enough about them. But that is how our bracket looks so far. We are going to be following the winner of this match to play to see them play against GoogleMe next round, I believe, in the semifinals. And what other semifinal I think will be brought to you somewhere else on stream. I'll find out the specifics of that for you, but it's shaking down how we thought it'd shake down, and we'll see what happens here to see who has the honor of going to play GoogleMe, who's been playing so well lately.
Yep. So we do have the map draft up for Whatever versus Vigil. But yeah, just going back to some of the thoughts we had a moment ago on the bracket, I'm very curious to see what goes on between Mendo and not Renbot. Renbot, of course, one of the more veteran players. People remember a lot from showing up in a lot of the early scrims in very early Beta 1 Overwatch. So sort of a fan favorite to some extent. A lot of people still remember Renbot and give him love where appropriate. So I am curious to see where they go here, how strong the team is, because that's another team that really could be a sleeper pick and could suddenly come in and go, whoa, they're just doing so well. I mean, it's a thing that can happen.
Yeah, there was like a week straight where the only thing upvoted on the subreddit was just Renbot highlights from pubs of him stomping as Reinhardt. I've played a couple times with him. Good guy, always been in the scene, been playing forever. So it'd be interesting to see what the competitive nature of his team is able to do. But they're playing against another pretty good team with some pretty good players as well.
Yeah, I mean, really, they have a big test in going against Mendo, since that's another sort of big EU mix-up team. And then if they do get past Mendo, they have to go against IDDQD, which, of course, is one of the premier teams in the game. That being said, our map draft is underway. Temple Anubis, Volsky, and Nambani down from Team Whatever. Team Vigil taking out Hanamura, Kings Row, and Lijiang. So we will not be going back to Kings Row, Hex, nor will we be going to Nambani, but Nepal is still on the table.
Yeah, and we might be able to play Dorado in more ideal conditions, something that's not 200 ping. Fingers crossed. Gibraltar, I think, is it's one of the more fun maps to watch, unless the team gets really stalled out and spawn camped, which we haven't seen lately. So we're either going to Gibraltar or Hollywood, and I am enjoying Hollywood as well. And here we go, Hollywood. The second stage of Hollywood is so amazing, but we've also seen a lot of teams get really good at this first stage defense, so we don't even get to see second stage. First stage Hollywood defense has been a pinnacle of, I think Melty does really well in it. IDDQD loves Hollywood so far, so a map that definitely you can hold on first stage defense, and it gets a little crazy after if a team does cap first stage.
Yep. So, interesting stuff going forward here. I think what we're going to see from Hollywood more so than anything else is that it's a team that EU teams have shown really, really good defense on over time.
Some teams are just actually known for their defense on Hollywood. IDDQD and Melty both play a Symmetra on this map very often, and they often win it because of that Symmetra play.
So, getting the game now. This is going to be Vigil versus Whatever. Round number 2. Whatever up 1-0 thus far. Should they win this, they'll go on to our semifinals and face GoogleMe, and that will be honestly, whatever team wins the series, GoogleMe is going to be a very big challenge for either team. GoogleMe has been looking great in recent days.
Yeah, they're the team to beat. They're the team I definitely wanted to watch today. I got to see them again play last night. We saw them last week, and then win the One Hit Club, and then go toe to toe with Envious, and they're really fun to watch. Their Genyatta combo is insanely good, so it's been a treat to watch them. But to see them go through the one hit in the fashion that they did, and then be able to stand toe to toe with Envious, really put the entire scene on notice.
Yep. So we're seeing the defense of whatever coming out here. Interesting stuff. We don't actually see a Symmetra. And usually we've seen a lot of teams from the EU run sort of Symmetra or even Symmetra Torbjorn defenses on Hollywood, and they're not opting for either of that right now, Alex.
No, it's kind of odd. I really favor Symmetra on this map, but apparently other teams have different strategies. They're going to run a very standard defense plus a Junkrat, though. I think the Junkrat inclusion is really nice.
So, take a look at the roster info. We got Numlocked on the Reinhardt, Munel on the Zenyatta, Pippo on the McCree, Nox on Lucio, Nico on the Reaper, and D-Gun on Junkrat. So we will be seeing the Junkrat in play here, and really a very strong, just raw power setup coming up here. Effectively the meta from last week that we saw from Envious with the double Reaper, double Lucio, double Winston coming out from Vigil.
Yeah, get ready for the haterade. A lot of people dislike this meta. It's not really a meta. We only saw it 2 or 3 times. Saw it a little bit last night. I guess there was kind of a talks the team had made gentleman's agreement to not run this specific 2-2-2 set, but here we go. Here is the Winston Reaper Lucio meta.
Yep, Junkrat, though, cracking shields. This is what we saw, and we heard a lot about commentary saying that Junkrat's pretty good against this, and G2 making the case against it right now. 2 quick pickoffs on the defense, 3-1 in their favor, now 4-1 in their favor, and 2-2-2 are not. They're able to just send it back to where it came from.
Yeah, they absolutely shut that down. That's why we saw the introduction of Junkrat, at least in scrims and at least in theory crafting. It's like, well, the only negative about Junkrat is that his damage can be inconsistent sometimes, but now when there's giant targets like Winston's and Winston shields. Also, the trap helps with Reapers and Lucios. Just some really great utility to be able to crack this style of play.
That being said, they're rushing back in again. Numlocked able to take out Lucio. That's a really nice charge coming out from him. He's going to bring the Earth Shatter, and no, it doesn't hit Ultima Wep. That Earth Shatter was a little bit off point by Numlocked, and he pays the price. And now perhaps a little bit of an opening coming out for Vigil as KFR are able to get in on the Zenyatta.
Yeah, a couple decent kills still, nothing really going on. I think we're going to have to wait for Vigil to make a really good push until they have their ultimates up. Now, the first one came up. Sneaky does have his sound barrier. That could be a good initiation ultimate. Winston has one of the ultimates up, but I think they're going to wait and see if they can actually combo a few of these together to break this.
Yeah, looking at, though, 4 defensive ultimates, including Transcendence and Sound Barrier up for the defense, so this is not going to be easy. They can blow both of them as they come in. Sound Barrier is coming up for both teams. He says so often where Lucio's Sound Barrier, they counter each other, and Pippo taking out Jazzo Jody right away. Deadeye coming down, not even able to lock on the people. It doesn't matter because Nico and D-Gun in the back doing all sorts of work. And again, Pippo, the sort of the exclamation point, KFR getting shot out of the air, literally. And a big defense again coming out from whatever, and they are not impressed by this 2-2-2 of Vigil at all. And in fact, Firestorm switching to McCree saying, okay, maybe we don't want to run the full 2-2-2.
Yeah, there is that switch off, and oddly enough, it is McCree who is kind of the captain of the meta, and Firestorm on him, who has been the hit scan specialist so far. We'll see if they can get a couple crucial picks off on that, but they are just going to initiate and jump in right now.
Yeah, again, they're switch up. They have
good
a little bit of switch and Ultima weapon, a nice death blast going down. Going to take out 2 people. That's 4 quick kills for Vigil, and this might be just what they need to get on point number A, and the switch up's definitely helping them. So as soon as they switched off the 2-2-2, they were able to get in on the point, so...
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, the meta can figure itself out. The meta will determine itself. It doesn't need us meddling in it.
Life will find a way.
Exactly. Perfect.
Just gotta channel your inner Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah,
sometimes.
there weren't enough us in that, but I think you'll work on it. You'll get it down for next time.
He really did say a lot in that movie.
Really did.
Anyways, Vigil moving the payload, and now their second test is going to come here and getting through the streets of Hollywood, and many a team has been stymied getting through here. This is not the easiest point to get through.
Yeah, we're going to see a roof fight right now between Reaper and Daegun on the Genji. They both have orbs, but unfortunately Genji has a Discord orb on him as well.
And here comes...
Yeah, Nico comes in.
Prince of Sound Barriers out, and they are coming in very quickly. D-Gun down the Genji, and Nico the Death Blossom with a quick double kill. And D-Gun looking to finish the set, killing Firestorm in the back. Shurikens to the face. And just great play coming out of both Nico, D-Gun, and the setup from Nox on
You
Lucio.
have to imagine that the communication's actually working out really well, though, because D-Gun was one-on-oneing the opposing Reaper on the roof, and he was in trouble. He had the orb on him and needed help, and then Nico was able to come up, finish off that Reaper, then drop down with the rest of the team and get that ultimate off in time as well.
So that being said, we do have the Genyatta combo coming out from Vigil, and they are ready to sound barrier, except Numlock charges and destroys Lucio against the wall. And that play from Numlock setting the tone is now, again, a big defensive wipe coming out from whatever. They weren't even able to drop the sound barrier there.
Yeah, an absolutely crucial stop there. It's going to be a complete reset, and I'm wondering if we're going to see any switch-ups. They're going to actually stick on it. They do have both support ultimates up, and a high noon ult is up as well, so they might be trying to use those in conjunction before they make any switches, but there are ultimates up for defense as well.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they're going to have to throw the defensive ults at each other and see where it goes. Big offensive ult coming out of the Transcendence. Very aggressive. Getting countered by defensive ults, but take a look. Ultimate up, able to take out Peepo. Kills being traded back and forth, 1-for-1 thus far. Both teams really brawling it out here, but Nico able to pick up another kill, and Nico has really been stepping it up in the last few minutes of this gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, the defensive sound barrier came off from a while away, and that actually allowed Nico to continue the fight with the confidence he needed to be able to kind of face check people with his guns. And now it looks like they're on the chase, but they may be able to reinforce this offensively because they're kind of dragging this fight out a little bit. Nox is on the card. You have a leader too. Firestorm disconnected.
Oh no, that's not good. Firestorm DCing, this is a big deal. He's one of the biggest damage dealers for Vigil, and with him gone, I can't see any way that they're really going to be moving the payload, except without some ridiculously exceptional Genji play.
There is a ghost in the machine today, man. Something's going on at the internet. My Skype is being weirder than it ever is. Twitch is acting funky. We're on Australian servers. It's absolute madness. Is it end times? Is it end times?
I don't know, but the internet has definitely seen better days. So they're just like, hey, what's happening? It's just like, well, DC. But per the rule set, gotta play it out, and interested to see what Vigil does here, because they don't want to give up the map entirely, but now they have to deal with the dynamic of a 5v6, so I think they're just hoping the Firestorm gets in, they're going to save their ults and go from there. Yep.
Yes.
The Firestorm able to get back in, thankfully for Vigil, but that did cost them a lot of valuable time.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty rough, especially given their time on the first point, too. We're going to see if they can actually coordinate an effort, though, and go in here. They need to get the cart kind of through this streets.
Oh, here got Ultima Web tried to go in with his ultimate, but got punished, getting kicked in the face by Moonell. And with no Genji, this is going to be very hard for him to get
Firestorm reconnects and get 2 kills immediately. That's 3 kills total. D-Gun is still up, and he takes out the Winston, but they're going to get the cart through the streets, and it's so helpful to get it through this area so you can approach in an alternate pattern. You can kind of choose where you want to fight in this map. Once you get through this section, they see Nico above them, and they're going to try to chase him off the rooftops as well.
Yeah, that was some great play coming out from Vigil. It looked really bad from them as they had the quick Genji pick off, but the rest of the team was able to do good. But look at this, Nico got in the back, triple kill, Death Blossom, takes out the majority of the Vigil team. So even though they got that good payload pushing, they're now getting set back to the start.
Yeah, it looks bad, but it's not that bad as long as they don't get camped out, because they have Transcendence ultimate up, and they also have Genji's ultimate up, so they were able to push the cart through the streets, which I think is the hardest part of the second phase. The Transcendence ultimate has to be used so early, though.
Yeah, it's Transcendence used early, but the offense could potentially turn here. But Nico takes out Jody, takes out Sneaky. Nico, I feel like he has a slow start to the day, but he is really coming into his element right now.
Yeah, but they do clean up 4 kills at the end, though. If they can respawn and get here quick, they should be okay, because the spawn times for defense are actually pretty even, so it's going to matter about who can reinforce quicker, and they're on the card again.
And I think what happened there is that they just overextended a little bit. They had a clean wipe. They underestimated how quick the respawns would come in, but they are going to be able to regroup here before they get the payload to the end. So if they get one more wipe, they will be holding them before they get to the hangar phase of Hollywood. But Ultimate Wipe with 2 quick picks off the Dragon Blade. Good stuff from him thus far.
Yeah, 5 seconds to get to this point, though. It's going to be triggering overtime as well.
Yeah,
they
right
lost
now,
2.
People on the defense just need to get on the point. Because if they can delay them here, it's very much worth. They don't really want to extend things out. They want to end this right here, and I think they're going to be able to do it. Sneaky Discord Orb on him is going to get taken out. He was sort of the last hope for keeping overtime going. And as a result, whatever, going to have a successful hold on Hollywood. And I have to wonder how much that DC from Firestorm really cost them, because if they had a little bit more time, maybe one more push gets it to the next checkpoint.
As soon as he came back, he got a couple kills, then everything started going again. So that DC definitely really hurt him, if not just, you know, actually getting the point, but just the time that it took for him to get back in. They were a different team when he was connected and not connected. I mean, for obvious reasons, but also because Firestorm is one of their best players.
Absolutely. So, interesting play coming out from Larry. Whatever really did look strong for a while, and I think the takeaway from that is that the 2-2-2 strategy got absolutely stuffed. So I don't think, there's a lot of controversy over duplicating heroes or not, but I think a lot of times teams do have the tools to deal with those sorts of strategies.
It forces the other team to deal with them in interesting and creative ways. That's the reason we're seeing Junkrat, which makes everyone very happy. Everyone likes seeing Junkrat, is people played around Junkrat as a response to that meta, and that meta was a response to other things. So it's kind of it ripples throughout the entire scene. Seeing one composition for 2 sets out of, 10 tournaments that we casted, I don't think is really reason for complaint that the meta's stale and that it's just this Winston, Reaper, Lucio. We saw such a small fraction of that as the meta, and then it gives way to cool things like Junkrat, and we get to see it evolve even further. So I don't think the way to go is, banning heroes out, restricting things or like that. I think it's an organic thing that will find its own place and it will work itself out as teams play more and more. Like you said, life will find a way.
Really, I'm just quoting the great Jeff Goldblum. So, just letting the teams know, 5:05 was time left after the first cap. So, if whatever is able to get in here and cap the first point off the first push, they would just win the map outright because Vigil was not able to cap the second point of Hollywood.
Yep, so they do it. They do have a win condition on pretty quick order, but Vigil is going to be running a defensive Symmetra, which I think is a wonderful idea.
It is, and yet on the same note, it does leave you a little bit more open to giving up the point quicker than you would like.
It's definitely a risk.
Because Symmetra isn't offering quite as much defensive power early on, so it helps for the long haul.
Yeah.
But if whatever is able to sort of get through quickly before the teleporter is out and make the most of their very first push, they would just win the map outright. So there is a bit of a risk here coming out for the defensive Vigil.
Yeah, it's definitely a gamble, and it does look like whatever is going to play a pretty aggressive offense as well. I do like the Firestorm on 76 on defense, but this offense is going to run double Winstons and a Tracer, so they're going to try to get to the point extremely quickly.
So, take a look at the full defense here coming out from the Vigil side. We have Sneaky on Lucio, Ultima Wep on the Reaper, legit RC on the Symmetra, Firestorm on the Soldier 76, Casual Jody on the Winston, and KFR rounding things out on the Zenyatta.
Yeah, Nico's going to run Tracer. Muno and Numlocked are going to be on the Winstons. D going to run a Reaper. Nox will be on Lucio, and Peepoo on McCree.
I'm really curious to see what Nico does early on here, but Ultima Wep with a very quick pick on Numlocked. It's going to make this hard for them.
That's huge. Both Winstons down immediately. Nico gets a pick, though, on the Symmetra. That's going to hurt him.
Yeah, Tracer's still alive in the back, but there's so many down for the attacking side now that they're probably just going to have to regroup here. But one thing that is good for them, Nico was able to get into the backfield, so a Tracer in the backfield always a little bit scary.
Yeah, the Symmetra's pretty good on that, too. The turret placement's going to slow her down and at the very least alert you of a flanking Tracer. It'll show you on your screen that she's coming, so...
Oh, look at this. The reason why the Reaper came back is that they didn't want the Tracer to pick off the Symmetra because the Symmetra probably looking to put down a teleporter sooner rather than later. That being said, we do have Winston's back on the point here. He is taken down, though, very quickly, so not quite what Muno was looking for. I think they were a little bit out of sorts there.
Yeah, the Tracer isn't back. They found the teleporter. It just came up, and she destroyed it. Nico in the back lines. And still alive, actually, back there. Tracer doing some work. How happy are you right now?
She's alive, but she only got the teleporter. Getting the teleporter is good, don't get me wrong, but she needs to get in, get a few pickoffs as well. That being said,
they have to deal with her. Legit is now constantly concerned about Tracer in the back lines, and he's trying to get on Legit again.
Perhaps not that concerned because he took out D-Gun, and now the offense sort of looking a little bit confused for whatever here. They're staying in the back, and I'm not sure what's going on there. I guess they're just waiting for reinforcements. I feel like they've been waiting on the outside here for a while. This is not quite the quick offense I was expecting, and Vigil definitely holding strong thus far.
Yeah, defensive Soundbarrier comes down. Casual Jody's going to chase down some kills too. People with a kill somewhere in that mix there. Pulse Bomb whiffs completely.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb was a pretty big whiff. We had 3 quick kills from the defense, and again, the offensive whatever looking a tiny bit lost here.
Yeah, Legit got tired of dealing with Nico on Tracer and just gave it up. No more Symmetra, switch to Mercy, but it's actually really cool because if they combo this Mercy, which they are, with Firestorm sitting on this balcony, the damage boosted 76 from a distance is absolutely brutal to deal with.
Yeah, also, speaking of threats that the offense is going to have as they come in here, we do have an Death Blossom up on Ultima Wep, so Ultima Wep just going to sort of hang back, trying to be too visible and look for his moment of glory, and he very well might have it, Hex.
Yeah, they're kind of saving up their offensive ults too. I think they're going to Sound Barrier in here. They do. High Noon is also up. People is going to try to find a flank.
Yeah, Death Blossom comes in from Ultimate Weapon, not quite the one. Numlocked able to take him out, so this might be the push that they want. Primal Rage coming out, seeing Lucio get juggled in the corner like a fighting game. He's still alive, but a little bit of chaos in the backfield. People able to take out Firestorm, and that is a big pick coming out for the offense. Rez comes up though, so the battle is not over, as Mercy likes to say.
Yeah, Legit paid her life for it too. The Peepu going strong takes out Legit after the resurrection, then takes out the second support, and Lucio takes out Firestorm as well. Peepu gutting the team right now.
Yeah, that was definitely Peepu's engagement there. And even with the Resurrect, things are looking a little bit bad for Vigil. But one thing that's looking good for them, even the 3 minutes that's going to be added to the payload timer here, they will not beat the time set by Vigil for point number 1, so they will need to bring it to point number 2.
Yep, they absolutely have to take it to point 2 within the next 4 minutes to win this map.
So that was a good hold by Vigil. They held for just long enough to give themselves a fighting chance to defend now between point 1 and point 2.
Yeah, really interesting play. I like how they're switching up their compositions pretty consistently now. Firestorm, this is not the best 76. It's almost too much distance for him, so he's going to switch off and play McCree. I really like that he's able to run a different, diverse hero
He
pool.
got a free pick on Ultima Wep. Ultima Wep getting caught mid-teleport. Now with the 6v5, they could really look to push up and do some damage here while Ultima Wep is down.
Yeah, very defensive position from Vigil. They're holding very far back. They're just giving up the streets, which I think were one of the hardest sections of this map because they have no control of the rooftops.
Here comes Nico in off the Genji. Gets a very quick pick. That's 3 members of the Vigil team down. Team effort coming down here, and Lucio running for his life with a Genji behind him. Usually doesn't end well. He's going to get taken out. A full team wipe just about now in favor
no res
of
up.
whatever.
No res up feels bad.
And this Lembo is just going to continue rolling, Hex.
They might be able to get in here for one more. I think they're going to posture up. They're going to be able to at least stall it out. They need to win this fight decisively, though.
And take a look at Pippo. Pippo does have Deadeye up. Pippo doing a lot when they've captured point A. See if we can do a little bit more work here. Does take out Winston. That's 2 picks now for the offense. They're looking in prime position to finish off this map and advance to the semifinals.
High Noon is up.
Oh, the Mercy. A gigantic res picks up 4 people. And Vigil not wanting to give up just yet, Hex.
No, that High Noon was up, but it actually timed out right before the resurrection came up. He could have had a huge kill there, but it was almost just mistimed a little bit. I don't think it's going to matter. They're getting a lot of kills here, but it's getting so scrappy down there. Second Lucio Sunbury comes down too.
Yeah, both teams fighting it out. We do see the Dragon Blade come out, not getting the most value that they're looking for. Peepo still not going to be in the fight anytime soon. Moon L and Nico, though, still fighting atop, and they combine for 3 kills with D-Gun. And this might be it. The limo only has to go a little bit forward to win the map for whatever. They're so close, Hex.
Yeah, I mean, the Death Blossom really hurt them there. They tried to come in with a combo. Pharaoh Mercy just wasn't enough towards the end, but a really cool fight there.
So they get their victory payload now. They get to bask in the glory as they bring things forward. Vigil, though, not without their moments. I mean, don't forget, they're up against some of the very best players in EU, and they were able to hold on point A for long enough to make them push the point, the second point here. And really, if you think back about what happened with Firestorm, Firestorm doesn't DC. I think Vigil had an excellent chance of at least getting to this point as well.
Yeah, I mean, they should be pretty proud of themselves. Not only are they going against some all-stars, but these are like EU all-stars who are very tested on this map, who played really well. I would put G2 up there with some of the top, even North American teams, definitely. And then Melty, of course, has been at the top of the EU scene for a long time. So this is essentially a mix of a top team that they played against, and they played really well. Definitely looking for Team Vigil in the future.
Yeah, I think Vigil has potential. Maybe not the best series that they're looking for, but they got a tough draw to begin with. And like I said, they showed flashes of potential. So we'll see what they bring next
week.
We
talk about well, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, one thing we see in Overwatch is that teams level up very quickly. What the team does in 1 week isn't what they'll do next week. So Vigil took a few lumps this week, but they could come back next week much, much stronger. So definitely excited to see what they bring in the next weekly.
In my opinion, they have the cornerstones of a good team. No matter what, if they keep the roster fine, I didn't pay the greatest attention to every single player, but they have the cornerstones in place. We always talk about how important it is to have someone who is a good McCree. Firestorm played McCree really well, and also the other Hiscan classes, and how important it is to have a solid healer. And I was pretty impressed with Legit's play throughout the sets that we watched him in.
Yep. So that will conclude the round of 8 for the GosuGamers Overwatch Weekly. We're going to be moving straight on into the semifinals. It is going to be Team Whatever versus Google Me. So Whatever going to have to go against some of the cream of the crop for North American competition. EU versus NA. Some good cross-Atlantic play coming at you right next. But we'll be back in about 4 or 5 minutes. Stay tuned.